Well, howdy, folks. I thought I would take a moment to talk about something that I see on the internet quite a bit, and I thought maybe it might be nice to give my perspective. The funny thing about the world is that, yeah, what we're seeing today with social media is we're seeing everybody's got an opinion, you know. And you decide whether or not you want to listen to what people have to say. Sometimes people are saying things in very sensational ways to get clicks. But occasionally you see people wanting to say something because they actually care about somebody else and they want to help them. And what I wanted to comment on today, my 2 cents, my opinion, okay, is marriage uh, and the seeming, sadly, conflict between men and women. And I thought I would share this as a married man myself. Not a perfect man, but just to let you know, I've been married to the same woman for 45 years. And my wife is a very patient woman. She's a good woman. We're Christian people, not perfect people. We have 3 daughters, and you know we have a pretty good life for the most part. It's not perfect any more than anyone else's life is perfect. But I thought I would comment only because, um, and I have no idea if it helps anybody. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Anyway, I'm hoping to help two categories here. The first category I want to help is young women who are desiring to be married, to have children, to be in a relationship. And secondly, young men who are single, who would like to find a wife and get married and have children and have a family. Um, I was born in the 50s. And because I was born in the 50s, um, there were things going on then in the way that people related to each other that's not happening anymore. If you were a young man and you were wanting to meet a young woman, generally speaking, what would happen is you might have friends who would introduce you to someone, or you might meet a young lady at church if you went to church, which I did, grew up in the church. And, uh, you know, or you would meet a young lady or you'd like her at school. School was, of course, usually where you first saw girls and whoever, and you would like the girls, and then vice versa. It's the same thing, I'm sure, with young women. As a young man, because in the time that I was born and grew up, um, most kids were raised by two parents. Most kids had a mother and a father, which makes a huge difference in the way that you were raised. It makes a huge difference in the influences you have. The world was also a simpler place. Um, People weren't perfect, any more perfect then as they are now. People did bad, terrible things back then, and they're doing bad, terrible things right now. But I think the difference was is that collectively as a society, there were certain things that we all agreed upon that were bad and good, evil and good. Um, I think you had a lot of the same beliefs in the world, but I don't. But they were at different levels of acceptance. And I have to say this because it impacts upon why things are the way they are today, as opposed to how they were when I was growing up. Because I run into this a bit where people will say, "Well, how is it that you've been married for 40 some years, and what's the secret, like, like there's some magic sauce to people who stay in marriages a long time. I do believe that a lot of why marriages can last a long time have a lot to do with the people that are in the marriages and how they were raised, and all those things impact upon how you think and where you are. There are no quick fixes. There's no, oh, you pour this ingredient and boom, and you're going to have a successful marriage. Or no, no, it's not like that at all. But I just thought that it might be good to sort of talk about these things because they might be helpful to young people. Now, so I'm saying that to say that that had an influence onto where I am, where we are today. So, and you could say, well, that doesn't really help me because I was born in 1980 or I was born in 1990. So, yeah, right, exactly. I get that. And I'll be honest with you, I can't even imagine. Okay, I can't imagine the influences that young people have today and how that has colored the way they see life. I can see the result of it in how people talk and how they act, which doesn't surprise me. But when you've been indoctrinated, I guess, for lack of a better way to say it, you're going to think and believe and operate based on what you know, based on how you were raised. We had moral institutions and a respect for God and a respect for authority. That was something that was just normal when I was coming up. And of course, today I see that it's kind of flipped on its head now. Sadly, a lot of the institutions that we respected have now been proven to sometimes be fraudulent or not telling us the truth. And the minute that you see you're being lied to by authoritative people, that has it makes you very cynical, and you're not sure who to believe, and so it's understandable. So I'm going at my be the old guy looking at the young people as to why they believe, why they feel the way they do. Makes perfect sense. So anyways, I guess what I want to kind of leave with you young folks, males and females, is hope. Even though you have been indoctrinated in the school systems, even though your parents have had to both work and not be there for you, even though a vast majority of you have been raised in single family homes or single parent homes and been the product of divorce and broken families, even though a lot of you have no real strong spiritual belief systems, no connection to God, there's all sorts of reasons why you're to be lost. The woke culture that exists and the fact that young people are choosing their own beliefs and all of this, it was inevitable, I believe, to be honest. People saying this is my truth, what have you. See, as an old guy, I can't wrap my head around some of it, and yet at the same time, I can empathize with it. I can say, well, if you didn't have these things, you're going to have to create something, right? And so you create something that works for you. So I want to come out to begin with saying, this is not, I don't intend to, I'm not seeking to attack anything that people believe, but there is a way things that work. There is a way things that work, and there's a way they don't work. Okay. And so as an older guy who has walked with God and walked in the best knowledge of my life and had the good life I have, all I can do is impart to you what I know does work. And by the grace of God, hopefully operating in me, I can relay that to you and that it will somehow be helpful to you. That's my daughter in the background. We have a special needs daughter, and she likes to scream and stuff. So if you hear screaming in the background, that's what that is. And hopefully you can hear me okay. I hope my microphone is good enough for you to hear. I'm going to get a little closer here. So I hope that the mic is good. If it's not, maybe on my next video, pull out the good the good microphone. Anyway, so what do I want to say? Well, I just want to give you all, you young folks, hope about relationships. I want to give you hope. God has and always had good intentions for man. He's always tried to make things as best he could make for us. But one of the greatest gifts that God gave us all is free moral agency, the ability to make our own choices. God cares about humans, cares about us intensely, but he doesn't make us do anything. The word says, I stand at the door and knock. If anybody has the power to enter our lives and force us to do something, God would have that power. And yet he doesn't violate our free will. I remember I read somewhere in the word and it was astonished me where it said, God said, it is not my will that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. And I thought to myself, well, that means that the very worst person that's ever existed, it was not God's intent for that person to miss him or to miss the good things in life. So I thought, wow, and even Hitler, even someone see, we tend to think of the very worst people as deserving to go to hell and deserving to miss. It was never God's intent. Then I read somewhere else in the word where it said, hell was not made for man. It was made for the devil and his angels. And I thought, wow, God is saying in no uncertain terms that he didn't create man for hell. But because of our free moral agency, because of the fact that we're made in the image and likeness of God, that we have a standing in God's creation, there's a responsibility that goes with that, a tremendous responsibility. And God does not violate his word. So anyway, so I, because I was raised, you see, to have respect for God and have lived my life this way, doesn't mean I've been perfect or I've done anything right, but it has been a guide to me and it has given me strength and has given me a direction in life that has worked. We had an old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I very much believe that to be true. So anyway, you young folks, young ladies, start with you first. Now, God created Adam first, and he said it's not good that the man should be alone. I will make a helpmeet for him. So he took a bone out of Adam's rib and he made Eve. He didn't take a bone out of Adam's head so that the woman could run the man's life, nor did he take a bone out of Adam's foot to represent that the man would walk on the woman. He took a bone out of his side, meaning that she would walk alongside him. Okay. Now, God created a hierarchy. The man is the head, the woman is the wife, the spouse, she's the helpmeet, and the children are beneath that. That's a hierarchy. I believe, even in the word, that had Adam not sinned, he would have been exonerated, and Adam probably would have had to give his life to save his wife, and he probably would have done it. But see, Adam blamed God. When God came in, God gave them both an opportunity to just own up. They owned up, but they ended up blaming others. Eve blamed the serpent. Adam blamed God. The woman that you gave me. You see? Responsibility has to be taken. Yeah, did they own up? They did. But the point being, why I'm bringing this up the way I am, is young ladies, you were made to be the helpmeet. Your job is to get on the man's program. Now, calm down. Take it easy. Get on the man's program. Why? What am I saying? Well, your job is to See, there's only can only be one captain of the ship. Okay, somebody's got to be the captain, and somebody's got to follow the captain. Now, the captain has a big responsibility, and I know as a father and a husband, I'm the captain. Okay, and God holds me responsible in a way that He does not hold Bonnie, my wife, responsible, and I'm fine with that. You know why I'm fine with that? Because I can look to God because He's my captain. I can go to Him, and He's going to help me because I don't have all the answers either. Does that mean that I don't listen to my wife? Absolutely not. I absolutely do listen to my wife. And we get together about stuff. But she has in the past, anyway, gotten on my program. And because she did, we were able to move forward. Bonnie and I make a good team. We have made a good team for 40 some years. I'm telling you, young ladies, you have to get onto the plan of the man that you pick. Okay. And you have to trust his judgment. You have to let him be the captain. You don't tell him how to be the captain. You let him be the captain. You support him. Okay. You be a wife. God says that he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtains favor of the Lord. If you choose to be a wife, God blesses that. He didn't say partner, though you are equal to your husband in terms of value in the eyes of God. He didn't say that. You're his helpmeet. You help him. I guarantee you, young ladies, if you get on the plan of the man that you choose, you're doing not only your man a favor, you're doing yourself a favor. So take it easy. Don't go crazy. Okay. My wife is a very strong-willed woman. You know, she has a mind of her own, and she doesn't agree with me about everything. I don't agree with her about everything. But the only way we've been able to go forward is we have done things God's way, and it works for us. So that's why I'm telling you about it. Okay. All right. Now, I hope you're okay with that. Take it easy. And the children. Now, we have 3 daughters. And God says in Proverbs, train up your child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. And my wife and I have done the best we can to raise our kids, and I think we've done a pretty good job. It's, pretty good job. Because we've had people ask us, how come our kids are so well mannered? Well, we corrected them. We did what the word said. You see, if you do what God tells you to do, it's going to work. God knows what works best. We don't argue with God. We don't try to tell God how to think. We do what God said to do. When you do what God says to do, then you're going to get God's results. And God says in his word, he says, my word will not return void. So God, all this stuff I've ever read about what God says is success. And that's what I want in my life. So young ladies, what you're really going to have to learn how to do, whether you like it or not, is you're going to have to learn how to be wives. Okay? There was a reason why men chose the younger women and wanted them to be virgins, because when you are in that place of being fresh and new and everything, you're unpolluted by the world. Now, okay, so you say, well, what good's that going to do me, man? I've had tons of guys, and I'm in my 30s now, and what do I do about that? Well, uh, you know, uh, number one, go to the Lord and give your life to Christ. That's number one. Okay. Observe what it is. What does it mean to be a wife? Find out what it means to be a wife. Go talk to women who are successful wives and ask them. And then don't talk to a bunch of women that are debating with their wives and are disrespectful. No, no. You go to the Word and find out what does God say about being a wife. Okay. Find out what you're supposed to do. Dude, that's all you got to do. You can't turn the clock back. You can't go back and undo all of the bad behavior. God forgives you of it. And you know what? Here's something else you need to know. Even though you have made a lot of mistakes, there's probably a guy, a nice, good man that will love you anyway, despite your mistakes. I can tell you this as a man, we love very differently than you all do. As women, we don't. I'm not a woman, so I don't know. I've been raised around a lot of women. I had three sisters and a mom. I got three daughters and a wife. I have had a lot of estrogen around me, but I'm not a woman. I'm a man. Okay, so I can tell you what how men think and how we are, and I can tell you honestly, we are very different from you. A man will love a woman and he will stick with her. You hearing me? A man will love a woman and he'll stick with her. And if that woman will respect her man and do the right thing and be the kind of woman she should be and up, I'm telling you, he will not leave her. Men stick with women even when they get mistreated in relationships. Now you see a lot of the simping that goes on. I have to tell you, some of the reason why this simping stuff happens is because there's a nature we have in men, and we're trying our best to please you as we can. We do the best we can to make you happy. And in the back of our minds, we know it's really not the way to be. We need to just be strong and just, you know, some guys would be kind of jerks or whatever, and women do respond to that. But you should be happy if you've got a man that's loving and patient and willing to. But you don't, because your nature, you see, and the devil feeds that nature, a hypergamous nature, is you disrespect the man. And how often now do I hear you young ladies complaining and saying, "Oh, I wish I hadn't left my husband. I wish I could have this guy back," and blah blah blah. You're just messing up your own life, and you got nobody to blame for that but you. Wouldn't it have been better for you to be a good wife, a good person to that man? Okay. All right. So that's all I'm going to say to the women right now. Young men, you've been given the whole notion of, well, just don't get married. Don't bother with these women. They don't appreciate us, blah, blah, blah. And I can't say I disagree completely with you. I can understand. However, the world, people will cease to be if we don't procreate. We need some new people here. But see, this is the devil's behind this. The word says, the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. Jesus said, I have come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. What better way for the devil to succeed and beat up on God than to steal from his people? And that's what's been happening. So, young men, same thing. Give your lives to the Lord. He loves and cares about you. Give your life to him. Find out what it means to be a man. Now, you don't have a lot of good male role models today, but they are here. They're here. They might not be on camera. Maybe that's not the place to look for them anyway. Might be the man down the street. Might be your old fellow friend, your dad's or something. There are male role models around. And you just have to look for them. I try to be one myself. I don't know if I am, but hey. But young men, I can understand if I was single, I can tell you right now. Now, I've been with my wife, like I said, for 45 years, and I love her. And we have had our bumps, and things are not right now the way they should be either. Okay. So I'm not talking from a place of great marital success and everything's just hunky dory. No, it's not. However, I love that woman. I love her, and I will stay with her. And she'll have to leave me. Okay, that's the way it is. That's how I feel about it. I ain't going nowhere. When I walked down that aisle and I made those promises before God, I was not kidding. Okay, and young ladies, when we do that, that's how we think. We do not make the marriage vows lightly. Maybe you all do. Maybe you make those vows and you say, well, if things don't work out, I can always divorce him and take all of his money. Do you hear yourself? Really? Is that your attitude? I don't know that I would want to have to stand before God and give an account for something like that, young ladies. I really wouldn't. So you can fool us and you can fool me and you're not gonna fool God. If you have a disingenuous attitude, you better you better straighten up before you see the Lord. You better do something about it, young ladies. You better do something about it. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. So, but young men, I get it. Hey, and if I had to get married again, if my wife went on home to be with the Lord, I would get married again. I'm 70 years old. Now, who would I marry? Well, I tell you right now, would I marry a younger woman? Absolutely. Reverse my vasectomy and have some more kids. I would do it in a heartbeat. If I found a nice young woman that was satisfactory and she was going to wife material, yes, absolutely. I probably would marry a woman closer to my age, knowing that I'm not going to have any more kids, but she would still have to be wife material. Okay. And I know what that is. Okay. But I want to give you hope, young fellas. You're getting a lot of good advice out there. There's a lot of young red pill guys out there. They're saying a lot of good stuff. They're harsh sometimes. They're coming at women pretty hard, and you can understand why they would be. But I think most of you probably want to have a girlfriend, want to have a wife. So go get you one. But talk to the Lord about it and vet the girls and find out what she find out. Some of these young men that are out there on YouTube talking, they're giving you a lot of information. I think if I was a young guy, I'd be listening like, well, you can't just marry just any girl if she's out there and she's just doing everything. Well, you don't want that either, no matter how pretty she might be. You want somebody that's going to be a wife. God said, whosoever finds a wife finds a good thing and it obtains favor of the Lord. I don't know about you, but I want favor with the Lord. It's also very interesting, too, in the Bible. It says this about men. It's a great mystery. It says, a man will leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. It doesn't say the woman does that. It says the man does that. See, God put something in us that makes us cleave to our wife, and then the two become one flesh. Interesting. See, God has it right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. God's got the answers. All we need to do is follow what he has to say. Okay? All right. Well, that's all I'm going to say about this right now, folks. You're good people. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I hope that it is of some help to you, to somebody. It is saddens me that the world is where it is, but we have brought this on ourselves. It's not God's fault, it's our fault. So I would suggest you listen to the Lord. I would suggest you go to God. He is the answer to your problems. The Bible is there for a reason. God has protected that word for centuries, for